It's time for you to stop being the nice girl. It's time for you to stop being the nice girl, and it's time for you to start embodying who you truly are and radiating that to the world. My name is Dr. Bisley Natley. I am the holistic brain doctor, and I teach women how to optimize their brain health so that they can step into their most authentic potential. In this video, I'm breaking down why you need to stop being the nice girl. Nice girl syndrome sucks. Nice girl syndrome is like the worst type of syndrome to have, okay? And I'm only saying that from personal experience because I lived the nice girl syndrome for a long time. Although I'm sure if my family was watching this, they'd be like, what the heck are you talking about? But you know, they're the exception. We don't talk about how I show up in front of them. But in compared to the rest of the world, that was me for the longest time. I remember, you know, when I was like growing up, I was in middle school and high school, and I remember people telling me how much of a pushover I was. I think I literally had a friend once tell me, like, you're such a pushover and it's so easy to take advantage of you. And I forgot what I did about that in that situation. But I was like, damn, I was like, she's right. And it took me literally like 5-6 more years to really break out of nice girl syndrome. Nice girl syndrome shows up in all areas of life. You're not just a nice girl in one area of your life and then you end up becoming like, you know, a baddie or a bad girl in another area of your life. It shows up in all different forms and ways in all areas of your life. So if you're a nice girl in relationships, it's going to show up in career. And nice girl syndrome just really prevents you from living an amazing life. And we're going to go over literally all the things it prevents you from doing. But I have been there, done that, and I struggled with nice girl syndrome for so many years. I was a constant pushover. I would constantly just feel so bad and awful about myself because I was just pouring and giving, and I was barely ever getting, and that's because I was over giving to all the wrong people. And here's a little caveat that I just want you to remember as I take you through why you need to let go of being the nice girl is I'm not talking about now going from being, you know, the nice girl to now being the baddie and like being like a bad girl. That's not at all what I'm talking about. What I am talking about here is, you know, stopping being the nice girl so that you can step into who you truly are and making sure that you are being as authentic to yourself. I'm not saying don't be nice. I'm still extremely kind and nice. Again, family might disagree, but we're not talking about them here. But I am talking about still showing up with as much kindness as you can to the people around you, but making sure you're not doing that in a way where you are constantly sacrificing yourself and your needs and who you are. And if you feel like you are sick and tired of being the nice girl, but it's hard for you to kind of break out of that nice girl shell, in this video, I'm going to break down how being the nice girl is impacting you in different areas of your life so that you can really see that it's time for you to break out of this so that you can create the life of your dreams. When I stopped being the nice girl, I finally started to feel good about myself and who I was. I finally started to take risks. I finally started to grow, and I finally started to build that life that I had always dreamed about building. And when I stopped being the nice girl, I attracted into my life the right relationships and people. And I think that is like the biggest thing. Sometimes we think that if we stop being the nice girl, that people are going to leave us, that no one's going to want to be around us. And honestly, I think that's really sad, but that was me for a long time. I felt like I needed to kind of overgive and be there for everyone in all sorts of ways. And only if I did that would people actually like me. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I truly think that we don't get fully attracted to people who are pushovers. And subconsciously, it's like, you know, it's so easy to take advantage of them. And people are attracted to people who have a strong sense of themselves and who they are. Like, that is what makes people magnetic. You know, I'll be like, for example, just like walking down the street. And I remember, a couple of years ago, like I remember this specific woman exactly that I saw when I was at a park in downtown Toronto. That's what we do in the summers, hang out at parks, drink a little. And I remember just seeing this like woman who just completely like owned herself. And isn't it so wild? Look at this. Even after years later, I can still like picture her in my mind, because the way that she was just like walking down the little road in the park, she was just fully owning and embodying herself, and she was just walking with so much confidence. And I remember my friend even calling on, being like, damn, that girl, like she's owning herself, she's so confident. And we were like so far away from her, and you could just feel that aura of her being her true self. She was just like emitting that energy for like miles around her. And it really didn't matter what she like looked like, right? But it was just that like energy that she was embodying, this energy of just like, this is me. And that is by far the most attractive energy that you can work on cultivating. It's like, how can you step into more of what makes you you? And really, when you are a nice girl, it prevents you from being your most authentic self. This is why you need to let go of nice girl syndrome. You can still be kind and nice, but you don't have to be the nice girl, where you let people push over you, where you let people take advantage of you, where you constantly overgive and overgive and overgive. And as a result of that, you are empty inside. Those pieces of being a nice girl you can let go of. And obviously, it'd still be the nice girl in terms of communicating with kindness and showing up with kindness to the people around you. But one of the biggest issues with being the nice girl is that it just prevents you completely from being your most authentic self. When you are a nice girl, and I have been there, done that, you mold yourself to the people around you. And honestly, I think it's like a bit of a protective mechanism, right? When you think about that, you have, created this sense of safety by molding yourself to what other people want out of you, how other people expect you to be. You suppress and push down who you truly are. And as a result of that, you end up being this nice girl who just caters to everybody around her. And that true you, that authentic you, gets pushed down deep, deep within you. And that just creates so much mistrust, lack of confidence, and you just don't feel good about yourself. And you always feel like you are at the mercy of other people around you. Versus when you embody yourself, when you own yourself and who you are, you stop feeling like you're at the mercy of everybody around you. Because now you're just truly stepping into yourself and who you are. And you're just like, this is me. If you like it, it's cool. And if you don't, and I'm not your cup of tea, then that's cool too. We don't gotta connect. And that is like very polarizing, magnetic energy. And unfortunately, being the nice girl just doesn't let you do that. Being the nice girl does not allow you to have this like magnetic, bright, bold energy that draws people to you. Because when you're the nice girl, you don't really have any energy or aura. Your energy and aura and who you are as a person is so tied to the people around you. You only have that based on depending on who you're around. And if you're not around people who are magnetic and polarizing and have this big, beautiful energy, then you end up being intertwined with their energy. So this is why you need to let go of nice girl syndrome. You need to leave that behind in 2023 and let that syndrome stay there and really make this be about how can you step into your most authentic, beautiful potential. The other reason that you need to let go of nice girl syndrome is because when we are the nice girl, we're constantly pouring ourselves into the people around us. We're constantly giving here, giving there, saying yes, and we don't know how to say no. And what ends up happening is that internally, This leads to so much resentment and anger. So you end up being just filled with resentment and anger within you. And this leads you to like snap at other people. This leads you to, ultimately end up having not the best relationships. And it's because you're constantly giving. What's funny about this too is that other people just don't get that. When you end up being angry and upset at other people and you're just like, oh, can't you just see everything that I'm doing for you? And like, why don't you get and just see all these things that I'm doing? And other people don't get that because, let's be honest, maybe they didn't ask you to do all these things, right? So their response is going to be like, oh, I didn't ask you to do all this. Like, this is a choice that you're making. And that, at the end of the day, even makes you feel more frustrated and more angry and have more resentment. So when you finally start letting go of being that nice girl, you start to pour into yourself more. You start to give to yourself more. And when you pour and give to yourself, you're no longer giving to other people from an empty cup. And when you stop giving to other people from an empty cup, it allows you to show up and have even better relationships. And it allows you to be that much more kinder and nicer to the people around you, and you'll notice yourself like snapping even less. This is another reason you gotta let go of nice girl syndrome. And can you just also imagine and think about too, right? Like just having all of this resentment and anger constantly pent up within you, like that's not good for you and your health either, right? And this feeling of just feeling like you're constantly empty inside because you're not giving time and space to yourself. And it doesn't even just lead to anger and resentment, it also leads you to have poor energy. You might feel like, you're just tired and exhausted all the time. You might just really also feel so stressed out because you have so many demands from everybody around you. This is like, you gotta let go of nice girl syndrome. This piece about suppressing emotions is so underrated when you are living as that nice girl, because you're constantly pushing down your emotions. And usually when we are the nice girl, what ends up happening is that, as I mentioned before, you mold yourself to the people around you. So now, as a result of you molding yourself to the people around you, you feel like it's difficult for you to express your emotions. You probably don't want to express any emotions that aren't happiness or joy or anything that you don't want to essentially express anything that's going to make the other person feel bad or hurtful in some sort of way. And that is such an unhealthy way of living because you're constantly pushing down your emotions and suppressing your emotions just to make sure that the people around you never feel hurt. And what ends up happening is that you explode often, right? As I mentioned before, you probably snap at people. You explode at them often because you're just suppressing your needs, your emotions to make sure that they feel well accommodated and adjusted. And at the end of the day, that actually ends up biting you more in the butt. And that actually ends up harming your relationships more versus if you gave yourself the opportunity and chance to simply express your emotions. But that's not being part of a nice girl, right? Nice girls don't express their emotions. Nice girls kind of keep everything down. Nice girls show up as like prim and proper and they're great and they're nice and everything's always wonderful around them, even though they're literally dying on the inside. The other thing too is that when it comes to suppressing emotions, I have worked with so many women. And by the way, if you're a woman who wants support with her brain health, use the link below to book a free assessment with me. And let's talk about how can we help you get to that peak performance? How can we help you cope better and, really break out of this nice girl syndrome so that you can step more into your authentic self? The other thing that ends up happening when you suppress your emotions a lot and you end up really exploding is that suppressing these emotions will eventually cause you to kind of snap and break at some point. I've worked with so many women who are just like, everything was fine. And then all of a sudden I woke up, I had a panic attack, and now I just have permanent anxiety. And we think that moments like these are so random because you're just like, how did this happen? I was doing so fine. I didn't think this was possible. But the truth is that If you've been living your whole life this way, where you're constantly suppressing your emotions, where you are constantly accommodating yourself to the people around you, one day you are going to explode. One day you're going to like snap, crackle, and pop, right? Like the Rice Krispies. And you're going to end up essentially like falling apart. And then you're going to be like, how did this happen? Like what? Like what just happened, right? So if you want to prevent that from happening, you got to let go of nice girl syndrome so that you can become more comfortable with expressing your emotions and know that it is safe for you to express your emotions. It is safe for you to feel things. It is safe for you to share them with the people around you, even if they don't take it in the best way. Your job is not to control their reactions. Your job is to express yourself and show up in a way that you can be very kind, and hopefully they can understand that. Being the nice girl also makes it so easy for other people to take advantage of you because you essentially lack boundaries. And I think by far this was probably the most frustrating thing for me being the nice girl, was the fact that other people were able to take advantage of me right away. And I hated that. And I mentioned in the beginning, like a friend literally even told me when I was in high school, you're so easy to take advantage of, Bisleen. You're so overly nice. And that's how we oftentimes see nice people, right? Like they are easy to take advantage of because we know that whatever we ask of them, they will do. And it's so easy to overgive when you're the nice girl, right? And it's so easy for you to overgive and just cater to the people around you without realizing what you're even doing. And especially if you don't know the intentions of the person asking you to do the specific thing. And when you are the nice girl, you just lack boundaries. You don't know how to set them. And it's almost like setting boundaries has such a negative connotation to it that you just don't want to set it. You might see boundaries as like being bad. You might see boundaries as like making you this like horrible person, or like, a bitchy woman. I hear that so much. Like, God forbid you set boundaries as a woman and now all of a sudden you're being labeled these not so great words just because you have a strong sense of self and who you are. And that shouldn't be the case. And this is why nice girls may have it difficult to set boundaries, because there's such a negative connotation around it. And I think it's so important that you look at, how do you feel when you set boundaries? Is there almost like an ick around them? Like, ooh, I feel so bad. Or, ooh, I feel like I'm being like the most horrible person if I set these boundaries. Like, really tune in and take note of that, because that is telling you and showing you how you feel around boundaries. And it might be important for you to kind of redefine what boundaries mean to you so that you can have a better connotation and meaning associated with them, so that you feel more likely that you want to set boundaries. Because when you are the nice girl, you think that you shouldn't set boundaries. You think that being boundaries are a bad thing. And I'm only saying that because I was a nice girl for the longest time. And I felt like boundaries were an awful thing. I also thought that if I set boundaries, I'm going to drive people away. But here's the thing, girl. You want to drive people away. The reason that you set boundaries is because you want to be polarizing. You want the right people to be like, oh my God, I love her. She's my cup of tea. I want to be around her. And then you want the wrong people to be like, ew, not my cup of tea. And I know that I've had people like that in my life who are just like, Bisleen, not my cup of tea. Because when I started to set boundaries, these people started to just kind of fall off. And it was beautiful, because then I could just focus on the people who are just like, ooh, Bisleen, she's my girl. She's my cup of tea. I like her. And I try as much as possible, even, with my businesses, the work that I do, I want to be very polarizing, because I have a certain expertise, a certain niche, and I want those people to be attracted to me. And the people that aren't within that realm, I can definitely guide them to other people who can support them in what they are struggling with. So you want boundaries help you be polarizing so that you can attract the best people in your life. And a lot of this I'm referring to in just relationships with significant others. I used to have the hardest time setting boundaries, and still sometimes I have to check myself and make sure that I am setting boundaries, and it is a work in progress for me. And as a result of that, I would attract the worst people into my life, because when you don't set boundaries, it's like your arms are wide open. You're just like, whoever's here, hello, just come in. I'm here. My arms are open for you. Whoever, wants a little piece of me, come in. And you attract and bring in everybody. And a lot of those people aren't the right people for you. However, when you go from like this to set a boundary like this, right? There's still room here, as you can see, just a little bit less or a lot bit less. There's only a certain number of people that can fit in here. And you have this boundary. It's almost like someone needs to cross this barrier, right? These like rules and regulations. And if they cross this barrier, then cool. And they end up in the center. That's great, because this person is highly attracted towards you and they want to be around your energy, whether it's a significant other, whether it's friends or family members or whatever it is, right? That's what you want to do, because that's how you make sure you're surrounding yourself around the best people. And so important to do that. And being a nice girl doesn't help you do that. So if you genuinely want to just attract better people into your life, if you genuinely want to start giving yourself more time so that you can pour into yourself, then you have to make sure that you set really powerful boundaries. And this requires you to let go of nice girl syndrome. And the last reason, really why nice girl syndrome is something that you need to let go of and why you need to stop being the nice girl is because when you're the nice girl, and this by far I think is like the strongest and the saddest things. And again, I can deeply relate to this. When you're the nice girl, you are essentially telling other people how they should treat you, not just how they should treat you, sorry. You're telling other people what your value and worth is. You're basically looking at other people and being like, tell me how good I am. Tell me, please. Am I good? Do you think I'm great? Tell me. Tell me. I need you to tell me, right? That's that nice girl energy, and that's not cute. Right? Imagine this video, I'm just like, okay, I want you to comment below and tell me like how great I am, or like how great do you think this? Do you think it's great? Like I hope you think it's really, really great. Like I really, really do, right? Like you tell me, comment and tell me below how great you think it is. Ew, that's just like ick energy. I don't even like, I don't like that. That's not cute energy. That's not like polarizing, magnetizing energy. No, that's like a, let me like skip to the next video type energy. So when you are the nice girl, that's essentially what you're telling other people, because you mold yourself so well to the people around you so that you can show up and make sure you never hurt them or upset them so that they never basically leave you, right? A lot of nice girl syndrome stems from abandonment issues, and that is going to be a whole other video where I dive deep into that so you can get a deeper understanding of nice girl syndrome, but a lot of it stems from that. If I'm the nice girl, people will love me and no one will leave me. That's essentially where nice girl syndrome stems from. And when we are the nice girl, we're telling everybody else around us, you tell me how worthy am I, or if I'm even worthy, or even if I'm good enough. And you're placing your worth, your value to everybody else around you. And when you place your worth and value to everybody else around you, you're going to have extremely low self-worth and value, because other people will always wax and wane. And people can't tell you on an everyday basis that you are amazing, that they love you, you're incredible. And as soon as they stop doing that, you're going to start feeling really, really awful and bad about yourself. And that isn't the right way to live or be, where you're always at the mercy of other people. And what's beautiful is that when you stop being the nice girl and when you step into your own value and worth and confidence and you develop that and you control that yourself, then no matter what anybody else does around you, you feel valuable, you feel good, you feel worthy. You're able to be your own best friend and help yourself push through some of these more significant challenges that you experience. And this is by far one of the most important reasons as to why you really want to just let go of nice girl syndrome, so that you can finally take back power of your value, of your self-worth, of the incredible woman that you truly are. Nice girl syndrome is not serving you in any form or way. Nice girl syndrome is literally preventing you from living your best life. Nice girl syndrome is preventing you from attracting the most beautiful people in your life. And nice girl syndrome, here's the thing, it's keeping you small. And I don't want a small life for you. I want you to live your most biggest, boldest, most audacious life that you've dreamed for yourself. And you can't do that being the nice girl. And again, I'm not saying that now you go from being a nice girl to being like an extreme baddie and being like a bad girl, right? No, we're not talking about that. But what does that neutral ground look like? How can you still be kind and nice to the people around you, but not do it in a way where you are sacrificing your most authentic self, where you are sacrificing your needs and not expressing yourself and the things that are important to you? That's what you want to do. It's like still being kind and making sure that you are still supporting yourself and your needs and making sure that all those things are still taken care of, because you, girl, are very, very important. You are important. Your needs are important. Your emotions are important. And you as a human being is so, so important. Oh, I feel like I just keep talking about nice girl syndrome forever because it just hits me so deep. And stay tuned for a video where I kind of talk about how do you really break out of nice girl syndrome? How do you break out of nice girl syndrome and step into your most authentic self? But I think before we do that, it's so important for you to understand why being the nice girl is just no longer working. Because when you can start to see and be like, I relate to that and that and that and that and that. When you start to see how it's no longer working for you, you become that much more motivated, empowered, and inspired to break out of being the nice girl and ask yourself, what can I do about this so that I can step into more of who I am instead of molding myself to everybody else around me. I hope this video was helpful. I hope that it's really broken your perspective of being a nice girl, and it's really empowered you to take some action around this so that you can really step into more of who you are. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment below, let me know your thoughts, and subscribe. I release a few videos every single week to really help you optimize your brain health.